Greetings one and all, and welcome to this math video. In this lesson, we will be considering Bgcse Math 2023 Paper 1. And so let's begin. So here we have Mathematics Paper 1, 18th of May 2023, Ministry of Education, National Examinations, Bahamas General Certificate of Secondary Education. So here we have the cover page of the 2023 Bgcse Math past paper. So let's begin. Notice that the first question says, write down the next two terms in the sequence. And so we have 2, 9, 17, 26, and 36. And we have to figure out what is this number and what is this number. And here, notice that if we add 7 to 2, we get 9. And if we add 8 to 9, so 9 plus 8 gives us 17. 17 plus 9 is 26. And 26 plus 10 is 36. And 36 plus 11 is, well, 36 plus 11 gives us 47. So that's one of the missing terms. And then if we add 12, we get 59. So the next two terms in the sequence is 47 and 59. Notice that in each case, we say, notice that here we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And so we are increasing. And so in each case, we just add. So in this case, we add 7, then we add 8, then we add 9, then we add 10. Then when we reach here, we add 11, and then when we reach here, we add 12. And so that's the pattern. And so let's move on. It says Kevin can buy 8 erasers for $2.16. Work out the cost of 10 of these erasers. So first, we're going to figure out what is the cost for one eraser. And the cost for one eraser, we're just going to divide. So we say $2.16 divided by 8, and that gives us 27 cents. And then since we need to figure out the cost for 10 erasers, we're going to say 27 cents multiplied by 10, and that gives us $2.70. So the answer here is $2.70. Next, here they want us to find the exact value of this. We have 3,675 multiplied by 15 all over 16. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to multiply these two terms. And when we multiply them, we get 55,125. And we divide that by 16. When we divide by 16, we get 3,445.3125. And that right there is the exact value of this particular numerical expression. Next, they want us to write the answer for part A correct to the nearest 100. Here is the answer that we got in part A. And so what we're going to do is we're going to circle this number. And the reason why we circle 4 because they want us to round correct to the nearest 100. And this 5 is in the ones place, 4 is in the tens place, but this 4 is in the hundreds place. And so we circle that and we underline the number behind it. Since this 4 is less than 5, we do not round up. And so we just leave it as 3, 4. And these two numbers we turn into zeros. And these numbers behind the decimal point we do not write. So the answer here is 3,400. Next, it says write the answer for part A correct to 3 decimal places. And so this is 1, 2, 3. So we circle this number here. So we circle 2 and we underline 5. Once it's 5 or greater, we can round up. So we add 1 to 2. So we have 2 plus 1. And that gives us 3445.313. So this 2 becomes a 3 and we drop or eliminate the 5. Next, they want us to write our answer. They want us to write the answer for part A correct to 3 significant figures. This number is significant. This number is significant. 4 is significant, and this 4 is also significant. This is the third significant figure right here. 3 is the first, 4 is the second, and this 4 is the third. And so we circle this 4 and we underline the 5. Once it's 5 or greater, we can round up, and so we add 1 to 4. And when we add 1 to 4, we get 5. We take this 5 and we turn it into 0, and we eliminate these numbers behind the decimal point. So our answer is 3,450. Next, they want us to convert the following to the units indicated. So they want us to convert 320 grams into kilograms. And so here we have a useful acronym that we could use, which states King Harry died Okay, let me start this question again. We have question 4, which states, convert the following to the units indicated. We have 320 grams, and we have to convert that to kilograms. And in order to convert it, we're going to use this useful acronym, which states that King Harry, so the K is for King, so King Harry died gravely drinking chocolate milk. So King Harry died gravely drinking chocolate milk. And so the K here stands for kilograms, the G stands for grams, and the M stands for milligrams. And our goal is to convert from grams to kilograms. Again, our goal is to convert from grams to kilograms. And so we move 3 times to the left. 1, 2, 3. And since we move 3 times to the left, we're going to take our decimal point, which is right here, and we move 3 times to the left. So we go 1, 2, and 3. So our decimal point is right there. So we actually have 0.320, which we just write here as 0.32. And so what we basically did was we took 320 and divided by 1,000. And we use 1,000 because we moved over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And so when we take 320 and divide it by 1,000, we get 0.32. And our answer here is 0.32. So 320 grams is equal to 0.32 kilograms. Next, we have to convert the following to the units indicated. So we have to convert 4.2 meters into centimeters. In order to do this, we're going to use a useful acronym which states King Harry died mystically. King Harry died mystically drinking chocolate milk. Again, King Harry died mystically drinking chocolate milk. And so again, we're trying to move from meters to centimeters. So the K here is for kilometers, the M is for meters, the C is for centimeters, and this M here is for millimeters. And so we have to move from meters to centimeters, which means that we're going to move 2 times to the right. This is going to be 1, 2. And so our decimal point is here, and we're going to move 2 times to the right. So it's going to be 1 and 2. And so what we actually have is 420. And so what we basically did was we took 4.2 and we multiplied by 100. And the reason why we use 100 is because we moved twice, right? And so we have 4.2 multiplied by 100, which gives us 420. And so that means that 4.2 meters is equal to 420 centimeters. Next, we have to convert the following to the units indicated. It says that we have 0.2 liters, the L is for liters, and we have to convert that into milliliters. And so here we're going to use this useful acronym, which states, knock him down. The useful acronym states, King Harry died lastly drinking chocolate milk. Again, King Harry died lastly drinking chocolate milk. And so we're going to use this acronym. The K is for kiloliters, the L is for liters, and the M is for milliliters. But we want to convert from liters to milliliters. So we're going to move over 3 times. This is going to be 1, 2, 3. And when we move over 3 times, we take this decimal point and we move it over 3 times. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. And so essentially what we have here is 800. And showing our working, we say 0.8 multiplied by 1,000. And we use 1,000 because we move over 3 times. This is 1, 2, 3. So we have 0.8 multiplied by 1,000, and that gives us 800. And so that means that 0.8 liters is equal to 800 milliliters. Next, this question says the diagram shows the elevator service of a building. Jade parks at car level 2 and takes the elevator up 5 floors to a meeting. She then takes the elevator down 2 floors to have lunch. Write down which floor Jade has lunch on. And so we have that Jade parks at car park level 2. So she's at car park level 2, right? So right there. And then she takes the elevator 5 floors, right? So we got to move up 5. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that means that she would be on the 3rd floor. But then she takes the elevator down 2 floors to have lunch. And so we got to go down. So this is 5 up, but then we have to go down 2 because it says that she then takes the elevator down 2 floors, right? So we got to go down 2. This is going to be 1 and 2. And so it says which floor Jade has lunch on. Well, Jade has lunch right here on the first floor. So she moved up 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then move down twice. So it's going to be 1 and 2. So that means that she has lunch on the first floor. Okay. And so the answer here is first floor. Okay, moving on. It says Mr. Jones starts watching a new television series. One evening, he watches the series from 7:19 p.m. until 12:05 a.m. Calculate how long he spends watching the series that evening. And so here we're going to subtract. Notice that we have 12:05, and we're going to subtract that with 7:19. Okay? And so what we have here is 12:05 minus 7:19. And so what do? Well, we say 5 minus 9. But we can't do 5 minus 9, so we have to borrow with the 0. But we cannot borrow here, so that means that we have to go to the hour side, right? And so since we have to go to the hour side, that means that we're going to borrow a whole hour from 12. So we take away 12 and 1. So 12 minus 1, okay, 12 minus 1 is going to be 11. And so that means that on this side, it's going to be 11. So we take away 1 from 12. That's what I should say. We take away 1 from 12 because we had 12 hours and we take away 1, we are left with 11. And so where does that 1 hour go? Well, we borrow a whole hour. But when you borrow a whole hour, what is an hour? Well, an hour is 60 minutes. And so that means that we are going to, when we take this hour and we put it on the minutes side, we have to write 60 because we borrowed an hour, but an hour is 60 minutes. So we actually borrowed 60 minutes. And so here we have 60 plus 5, and we have to add them. So on the hour side, we would have 11 because we took away 1 from 12. So we would have 11. But on the minute side, we're going to have 60 plus 5, and 60 plus 5 is 65. Next, we subtract, and we have to subtract 65 and 19. What is 5 minus 9? We cannot do that. We have to borrow to the 6. And we say 6 minus 1, and 6 minus 1 is 5. And we put the 1 here. So now we have 15 minus 9. And 15 minus 9 is definitely 6. And so we say 5 minus 1, and 5 minus 1 is 4. Next, we say 11 minus 3. What is 11 minus 3? First, we say 1 minus 7. I'm sorry, next we say 11 minus 7. That's what I should say. Next, we say 11 minus 7. But what is 11 minus 7? Well, let's find out. We say 1 minus 7, but we cannot do that, so we have to borrow. And so this 1 becomes a 0, and then this becomes 11. And so now we have 11 minus 7, and 11 minus 7 is definitely 4. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that means that how long did he spend watching the series? Well, he spent 4 hours and 46 minutes. And that's the answer to this particular question. Next, it says the next day he starts watching one episode of the series at 8:15 a.m. The episode lasts 48 minutes. Calculate the time he finishes the episode. And so we have to add. So we have, he starts at 8:15 and it lasts for 48 minutes. So we have to add time. So we say 5 plus 8. Well, that gives us 13. We put the 3 down, put the 1 up. Then we say 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 4 is 6. So it's going to be 63. So on the minute side, we have 63 minutes. And on the hour side, we have 8 plus 0, and 8 plus 0 is definitely 8. And so that means we actually have 8 hours and 63 minutes. But we know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. And so we say 63 minus 60, and that gives us 3. So that means that we could take 63 and break it down into 60 and 3. So we have 8 hours plus 60 minutes plus 3 minutes. But what is 60 minutes? Well, 60 minutes is an hour. And so we have 8 hours plus 1 hour plus 3 minutes. And then we say 8 hours plus an hour, and 8 hours plus an hour is 9 hours. So we have 9 hours and 30. And so we have 9 hours and 3 minutes. And so what is that going to be? That means at the time that he finishes the episode, it's going to be 9:03 a.m. 9:03 a.m. And that's the answer to this particular question. It says write 7:19 p.m. using the 24-hour clock. And so here we have 24-hour clock and here we have 12-hour clock. For the 24-hour clock, we have 13, but for the 12-hour clock, that's 1. For the 24-hour clock, we have 14, but for the 12-hour clock, that's 2 p.m. 15 is 3 p.m., 16 is 4 p.m., 17 is 5 p.m., 18 is 6 p.m., but 19 o'clock is 7 p.m. And so that means that if we have 7:19 p.m., that's going to be 19:19 in the 24-hour clock. Next, question 7, it says that the universal set, it says that for the universal set, we have that x is an integer where x is greater than or equal to 20 and x is less than 30. For set P, we have the multiples of 3, and for set Q, we have even numbers. And so let's list out the universal set. The universal set contains integers that are bigger than or equal to 20, but less than 30. So we're looking at the integers from 30, we're looking at the integers from 20 to 30, but we do not include 30. The integers from 20 to 30, but we do not include 30. So we have 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. This is the universal set. Now for set P, these are going to be the multiples of 3, but they're going to be the multiples of 3 that are inside of the universal set. So what are the multiples of 3 inside of the universal set? That's going to be 21, 24, and 27. And that's why P is equal to 21, 24, and 27. Next, we need to figure out what is Q. Q is going to be the even numbers. And it's going to be the even numbers inside of the universal set. So it's going to be 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. So 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28. That's going to be Q. And so let's write that on this Venn diagram because we have to complete this Venn diagram. And so, but before we even complete it, let's figure out what is in the intersection, right? Like what is in the intersection? What is in the middle? What numbers are common, right? Between P and Q. And we notice that 4 is common in both sets. 24 rather is common in both sets. All right, so that means that the intersection of P and Q is going to contain 24. And so we have P is going to be what? 21, 27, and 24. That's an intersection. And Q is going to contain 20, 22, 24, which is here, and what else? 26 and 28, okay? So set P, right? This is set P. It contains 21, 24, and 27. And set Q, this is set Q right here. Set Q contains 20, 22, 26, 28, and 24. Next, it says complete the Venn diagram to show the above information. It says list the set P. So what are the elements of set P? We just listed out already. Set P would be, oh, by the way, I should mention, this is very important. I didn't mention the ones on the outside. There are elements that are in P and Q, right? That are part of the universal set, and that's true, right? In fact, all of the elements in P and Q are part of the universal set, okay? So that's good. But there are some elements that are part of the universal set, but are not part of P and Q. And those elements, which are part of the universal set, but not part of P and Q, those are the elements that we put on the outside, okay? Those are the elements that we put on outside. So 25, 23, and 29, they're not part of P, neither are they part of Q, but they are on the outside, okay? And so 25, 23, 29, those are going to be the elements that are in the universal set, but not inside P and Q. So first here, we want to list the elements of P. The elements of P are going to be 21, 24, and 27. Those are going to be the elements of P, I should say, the elements of P. The elements of P are 21, 24, and 27 because they are multiples of 3, right? 21, 24, and 27. Next, we have to list the elements of, I'm sorry, I think I wrote the question twice. Okay, we already did that. Already list the elements of P. That's fine. 21, 24, and 27. So that's A and B. Okay, let's look at C. Okay, so C. Okay, so for part A, they want us to complete the Venn diagram. We already did that. For part B, they just want us to list elements of P, which we did, 21, 24, 27. But for part C, what they want us to do is they want us to find the number of elements in Q, the number of elements in set Q. And so let's count. If we count the elements in set Q, we find that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements in set Q. And so that means that the number of elements in Q is going to be equal to 5. Next, it says Ashley wants to buy a video game which costs $39.95. She saved 3 $5 notes, 12 $1 notes, and 23 25-cent coins. Determine if Ashley has enough money to buy the video game. Show working to support your answer. So let's determine how much money she actually have, right? So she has 3 $5 notes, which we have 3 times 5. She have 12 $1 notes. That's why we have 12 times 1. And she has 23 25-cent coins, which is why we have 23 times 0.25. Next, we multiply. So we say 3 times 5, which is 15. 12 times 1, which is 12. And 23 times 0.25, which gives us a 5.75. Next, we add all of this. And when we add it, we get $32.75. So that means that she has $32.75, but the video game costs $39.95. And so the answer is no, she does not have enough money. Ashley does not have enough money to buy the video game. Again, Ashley does not have enough money to buy the video game. And that's our answer to this particular question. All right, next, it says write the name of each of the solids. So this solid right here, notice its base, right? Its base is a rectangle. We call this a rectangular pyramid. This one right here, we call it a rectangular prism. This solid right here, we call it a cylinder. And this right here is definitely a cone. Next, it says there are 36 jelly beans in a jar. 14 are red, 9 are blue, 6 are yellow, the rest are green. Ashley takes a jelly bean at random from the jar. Calculate the probability that it will be blue. So for the general rule or general formula for probability is that probability is equal to possible outcomes divided by total outcomes. So what's the total outcomes, right? The total outcomes. Well, the total outcomes is definitely 36 because if you add 14 plus 9 and 6, again, if you add 14 plus 9 plus 6, you get 36, all right? And so, in fact, let me show the addition. So the total is going to be 14. So we say 14 plus 9, right? Plus 6. And if we add them, we get 36, all right? So again, 14 plus 9 plus 6. And that gives us, that does not give us 36. Something is wrong here. That definitely does not give us 36. That actually gives us 29. Okay, so I noticed that I made an error when explaining this question. So we're gonna start over with question 10 because I made an error with explaining it. So question 10 says there are 36 jelly beans in a jar. 14 are red, 9 are blue, 6 are yellow, the rest are green. Ashley takes a jelly bean at random from the jar. Calculate the probability it will be blue. So let's start off with the formula. So the probability formula is equal to possible outcomes divided by total outcomes. Now, what is the total outcomes? Well, the total outcomes is 36, all right? So the reason why I mean it was 36 is because there are 36 jelly beans in the jar. Now, what I said earlier, I said that 14 and 9 and 6 gives us 36. That doesn't give us 36, that gives us 29. The key here is that understanding that 36, there are actually 36 jelly beans in the jar. There are 14 that are red, 9 that are blue, 6 that are yellow, and the rest is equal to, and the rest are green. And so that rest that are green would, when we add that to 6 and 9 and 14, that would give us 36. And it's not that 14, 9, and 6 would give us 36. In fact, if we look at it, 14, 9, and 6, 14, 9, and 6, if we add them, we get 29, all right? So if we add these together, we get 29. And so, and if we want to really know how many green there are, right, all we need to do is say 36 minus 9. 36 minus 29. Okay, 36 minus 29. And what is 36 minus 29? Well, 36 minus 29, that gives us 7. And so what that means is there are actually 7 green. So what do we have? Well, we have 14 that are red, 9 are blue, 6 are yellow, and 7 are green, all right? And if you add 14, 9, 6, and 7, that would give you 36. And so we know the total outcomes, right? The total outcomes is definitely 36. That's the total. But how many blue, right? How many blue jelly beans do we have? That would be the possible outcomes. How many blue jelly beans do we have? Well, we have 9 blue. It says right there that there are 9 blue. So that means that the probability that it will be blue is going to be 9 over 36. And so that's correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this. So we divide top and bottom by 9. 9 divided by 9 is definitely 1. And 36 divided by 9 is 14. And so that means that the probability that it will be blue will be 1 over 4. Next, we want to figure out the probability that, so Ashley takes a jelly bean at random from the jar. What is the probability that that jelly bean would be purple? Remember, we're going to use this formula, possible outcomes divided by total outcomes. We know that the total outcomes is definitely 36, and there are no purple jelly beans in the jar. So that means that the possible outcomes for purple is going to be 0 because there are no purple jelly beans in the jar. So it's actually 0 divided by 36, and 0 divided by 36 is 0. Now, if a probability is 0, that means that it is impossible. And if the probability of an event is 1, is equal to 1, that means that that is certain. Okay, now we want to calculate the probability that it will be green. So remember, probability is equal to total outcomes and possible outcomes, but we have to divide the two. So possible outcomes divided by total outcomes. That's the formula for probability. Now, what is the number of green? Well, the number of green is going to be 36 minus 14 plus 9 plus 6. And 14 plus 9 plus 6 is 29. And so the number of green is going to be 36 minus 29, and 36 minus 29 is 7. So the probability of green is going to be 7 over 36 because there are 7 green jelly beans and there are a total of 36 possible, there are a total of 36 jelly beans in the jar. So it's going to be 7 over 36. That's the probability that Ashley takes a green jelly bean at random from the jar. Now, they want us to calculate the probability that it will be yellow or red. So Ashley takes a jelly bean at random from the jar, calculate the probability that the jelly bean will be yellow or red. So first we need to calculate the probability of it being yellow and then calculate the probability of it being red and then add them, okay? So what is the probability of it being yellow? Well, there are 6 yellow. So the probability of getting a yellow would be 6 over 36. And then you have red, the probability that you would get a red jelly bean, well, that's 14. I'm sorry, the probability of you getting a red jelly bean is going to be 14 over 36 because there are 14 red jelly beans. And so it's going to be 14 over 36. So the probability of you getting a yellow jelly bean would be 6 over 36 because there are 6 yellow jelly beans and 36 jelly beans in total. And the probability of you getting a red jelly bean is going to be 14 over 36 because there are 14 jelly beans and there are 14 red jelly beans and there are 36 jelly beans in total. Now, when we add the two, we get 6 plus 14, which is 20. And so we have 20 over 36. And we could simplify that, divide top and bottom by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that means the answer here is 5 over 9. Next, it says Thrifty Store sells a pack of 16 rolls of toilet paper for $5.12. Cheapo's store sells a pack of 18 rolls of toilet paper for $6.30. Determine which store has the better deal. Determine which store has the better deal on the toilet rolls. Show working to support your answer. And so here we have this table. So this one is for thrifty store, and this one we have cheapo store. What we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out what is the cost for one roll of toilet at thrifty store. Well, we know that 16 rolls of toilet is for $5.15. I'm sorry, we know that 16 rolls of toilet paper is for $5.12. What's the cost of one roll? Well, the cost of one roll is going to be $5.12 divided by 16, and $5.12 divided by 16 gives us 0.32. So it costs 32 cents for one roll of toilet at thrifty store. Next, at cheapo store, we want to figure out the cost for one roll of toilet. They say that 18 rolls of toilet paper cost $6.30. That's for 18. And so if you want to figure out the cost for one, we're just going to say $6.30 divided by 18. That's $6.30 divided by 18. And that gives us 0.35. So that's 35 cents. And so what does that mean? Well, we know that 35 cents is higher than 32 cents. And so since 35 cents is greater than, since 35 cents is greater than 32 cents, it's supposed to be a 2. What does that mean? That means that cheapo store costs more, right? So cheapo store costs more. So that means that thrifty store has the better deal on toilet rolls. And that's the answer for this question. Thrifty store has the better deal. Okay, next it says in class 10B, the ratio of girls to boys is 4:1. There are 30 students in class 10B. Work out the number of girls in class 10B. So for this one, we're gonna first figure out what is one equal part. And for one equal part, we're just gonna take the total number of students, which is 30, and divide it by this sum, 4 plus 1. And we got 4 plus 1 because if you notice this ratio, we use the numbers inside the ratio, 4 and 1. And so we say 30 divided by 4 plus 1. What is 4 plus 1? Well, 4 plus 1 is 5. So one equal part is equal to 30 divided by 5. And 30 divided by 5 is definitely 6. And so that is one equal part. But we want to figure out what we want to figure out is the number of girls in the class. What do we know? It says that the ratio of girls to boys is 4:1. That means that girls is responsible for 4 shares or 4 equal parts. And so that means that the number of girls in the class is going to be equal to 6 times 4 because one equal part is 6 and the number of girls in the class accounts for 4 equal parts. So it's going to be 6 times 4, and 6 times 4 is definitely 24. And so that means that there are 24 girls in the class. Next, they said that the ratio of girls to boys in class 10C is 3:2. There are 14 boys in the class. Work out the number of girls in class 10C. And so for this one, we need to figure out what is one equal part. We take the total number of boys in the class and we divide it by 2. And the reason why we divide it by 2 is because the number of boys accounts for 2 equal parts because girls accounts for 3 equal parts, but boys accounts for 2 equal parts. And so we say 14 because there are 14 boys divided by 2 because there are 2 equal parts for boys. And we use 2 because 2 represents, we use 2 because the number of boys in the class is 2 equal parts, right? Or we could say the number of boys in the class accounts for 2 equal parts. And so we say 14 divided by 2, which gives us 7. So that means our one equal part is 7, but we want to figure out the number of girls in the class. So if one equal part is 7, the number of girls in the class is going to be 7 times 3. 7 because it's one equal part, and 3 because the girls in the class, or the number of girls in the class, accounts for 3 equal parts. And so we have 7 times 3, and 7 times 3 gives us 21. And so that means that there are 21 girls inside the class. Next, it says write down in simplest form the ratio of girls. It says write down in simplest form the ratio of girls to the total number of students in class 10C. So the total number of students in class 10C is definitely, we have 14 boys and 21 girls. All right, 14 boys and 21 girls. When we add that, we get 35. So the total number of students in 10C is 35 students. What is the number of, okay, the number of students in 10C is 35. We said that. Okay, so we have girls and then total, right? What is the girls? Well, the girls is going to be 21. There are 21 girls. What is the total? Well, the total is 35 students. So it's 21 to 35. That's 21 to 35. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to divide both sides here by 7. So we say 21 divided by 7, and that gives us 3. Again, we have 21 divided by 7, and that gives us 3. And then we have 35 divided by 7, and that gives us 5. And so that means that the ratio of girls to total number of students is 3 to 5. And so the answer here is definitely 3 to 5. Next, what we're going to do is, it says that the shape below is a design from a Junkanoo costume. Draw the lines of symmetry. Well, the lines of symmetry, or a line of symmetry, is going to be a line that cuts a shape into two halves, such that one side is identical to the other side, or such that one side is a mirror image of the other side. And so this right here is a line of symmetry. This right here is a line of symmetry. Notice that this is a line of symmetry because we cut the shape into two equal halves, such that one side is identical to the other, or such that one side is a mirror image of the other. Or we could say such that if we were to take one side and fold it, right? If we were to take, let's say if we take this side and fold it onto this side, like they would map evenly. All right. This right here is a line of symmetry. This also is a line of symmetry. And this right here is a line of symmetry as well. So those are 4 lines of symmetry. And so that's the answer. There are 4 lines of symmetry. And this is how we have them drawn. Next, it says that we want to state the order of rotational symmetry. So what is the order of rotational symmetry? And so let's figure that out. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take the same image and put it on top of itself. And we're gonna put a marker here. And the marker here is we're trying to figure out how many times this shape is able to match onto itself. Right? That's what the basically order of rotational symmetry is basically asking us. How many times this shape can map onto itself? And so let's determine that. So we're gonna do that. So notice that we have this shape and we're gonna rotate it, rotate it, rotate it. At this current point, this shape is not mapped onto itself as yet, right? So we have to rotate it still some more. And we're rotating, rotating, rotating. At this current moment, the shape is not mapped onto itself as yet. It's not exactly matched onto itself as yet, right? So we rotate it, rotate it, rotate it, and then we have right here, right? So once. So this shape maps onto itself so far 1 time. We're gonna do it again. So when we rotate, 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 it's not matched onto itself yet. It's not matched onto itself yet. It's not matched onto itself yet. There we go. So right here, it's matched onto itself again. So far it's matched onto itself twice. All right. And so we spin again. All right, we spin again. It's not matched onto itself yet. It's not matched onto itself yet. It's not matched onto itself yet. There we go. It's matched onto itself right here. So that's 3 times. And then we're gonna do it again. And so this is going to be right here. And so that's actually 4, right? So this is the 4th time. So how many times, if we were to do a full rotation, right? How many times does the shape map onto itself? The answer is 4. And that's what the order of rotational symmetry is asking us. If we were to rotate this image, one revolution, across one revolution, how many times would the image map onto itself? And the answer is 4 times. Okay, so let's move on to this next question. It says there are 2 traffic lights at different intersections. The first light turns green every 60 seconds. The second light turns green every 45 seconds. At a certain point, both lights turn green at the same time. Find how many seconds it takes for both lights to turn green at the same time again. And in this case, we have to show working to support our answer. What this question is basically asking us for is they want us to figure out what is the LCM of 60 and 45. And once we find the LCM of 60 and 45, that will be our answer. So what are the multiples of 60? Well, the multiples of 60 are 60, 20, 180, 240, 300, and the list goes on. The multiples of 45 are 45, 90, 135, 190, 225, and the list goes on. And so the lowest common multiple of 60 and 45 is definitely 180. And so that means it takes 180 seconds for both lights to turn green at the same time. And that's the answer for this particular question. Next, it says, find the lettered angles in the diagram below. So here we have 160. This right here, this is a box shape. And what this basically is, this actually represents 90 degrees. And so this right here is 90 degrees, right? Once you see that square looking shape or that box looking shape, that's 90 degrees, all right? So we have 90 degrees here. So we have 180, 90 degrees, and 40 degrees, and P. So we have to figure out what is the size or what is the measure of angle P. Indeed, we know that if we have a point, angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. And we know that one revolution is equal to 360 degrees, or we can say that the angles inside of a circle add up to 360 degrees. And so if we know that all of this right here add up to 360 degrees, the angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. That means that 180, 90, 40, and P must add up to 360 degrees. So that means in order to find P, all we need to do is we need to take 180, 90, and 40, add them all together, and then take that sum and subtract it from 360 degrees. And so that's what we're going to do. We say 160 plus 90 plus 40. And when we add them, we get 290. So we say 360 minus 290. And when we subtract, we get 70. So the answer here is definitely 70. Next, we have to figure out what is x. So right here is x, and right here is 105. And we know that angles on a straight line at a common point add up to 180 degrees. So that means that 105 and x should add up to 180 degrees, which means that if we want to figure out what x is, we're going to say 180 minus 105, and 180 minus 105 is definitely 75. So that means that x is equal to 75 degrees. Now, what is y? Well, how can we figure out the size of angle y? Well, what we do know is that, okay, well, what do we know? We know that this right here is 75, that's x, right? That's what we know. But let's figure out what this angle is, right? Right, let's figure out what this angle is. If you want to figure out what that angle is, the same one, let's call it angle A. In order for us to figure out what angle A is, we know that 57A and 75 must add up to 180, and that's because angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And so if we want to figure out what A is, all we need to do is we need to take 57 and 75, add them, and then take that sum and subtract it from 180 degrees. So we have 180 minus 57 plus 75. And we have 57 plus 75, and 57 plus 75 is 132. And we have 180 minus 132. And when we subtract the two, we get 48. And so that means that A is equal to 48. So A right here is equal to, the same A is equal to 48. So let me erase. So that means that this angle right here is 48 degrees. But we know that angles on a straight line, right, at a common point, add up to 180 degrees. So what does that mean? That means that y plus 48 degrees, they must add up to 180 degrees. So in order for us to figure what is the size of y, we're going to say 180 minus 48, and 180 minus 48 is definitely 132. So y is equal to 132, and that's the answer for this one. Next, it says that they want us to draw an enlargement of the figure above with center O using a scale factor of 3. So draw an enlargement. That's what we have to do. So this is the center O, and we have to draw an enlargement, right? And the scale factor is 3, right? And O is the center of enlargement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take O and we're going to move 1. We're going to move 1, 2, 3. So since we move 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3 spaces to get from O to this point, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, 3, right? 3 multiplied by the scale factor of 3, which means that when we say 3 times 3, we get 9. So that means that we're going to start at O and go 9 spaces down for us to get where our first point is going to be. So we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so that means that our first point is going to be right here. Next, we're going to start at O, the center, and then move over 1, 2 to this particular point. And so notice that we moved over twice, 1, 2. So we're going to take 2 and multiply it by the scale factor, which is 3. And 2 times 3 is definitely 6. And so that means that we're going to start at O and move 6 times to the right. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, just 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we stop at 6. And so we're going to put our point right here. So the second point is going to be right there. Next, for this one, we have 2 movements to do. We have to move in the y direction. So that's 1, 2. Then we have to move in the x direction. That's 1, 2, 3. So we move twice in the y direction and we move 3 times in the x direction. Again, we move twice in the y direction and we move 3 times in the x direction. And so movement in the y is going to be 2 times 3. So we multiply 2 by the scale factor, which is 3. And so that's going to be 6. And then movement in the x is going to be 3 times 3 because 3 is the scale factor. So we have 3 times 3, which is 9. And so that means that for this particular point that we're going to find, we have to move 6 times down and 9 times across. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so our point is going to be right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to connect these 3 points, and that is our enlargement. Now we could check if our enlargement is correct by starting at the center and drawing these lines. Notice that the lines go from the center, it touches that point, and it touches this point. Notice that this line goes at the center, it touches this point, and touches that point. And this line goes from here, it touches this point and touches that point. That's how you know that your enlargement is correct. That's one of the ways that you could test it. But you don't need to draw those lines, you just can leave it. You don't need to, I mean, I guess you could use a ruler to check it instead of drawing the lines and you have to erase it. But do not keep those lines if you draw them in, right? Just erase them if you draw them in. But I just advise you use a ruler so that you wouldn't have to draw the lines in. But you just could test it out with your ruler, see if from the origin, you touch this point and you touch that point, and from the origin, you touch this point and you touch that point, and from the origin, you touch this point and that point, and this point. And then once that's the case, and you did all of the enlarging properly, then your answer is right. Okay, let's move on to the next part. It says solve the following equations. So we have 3a plus 4a minus 5a is equal to 15. Here, we're going to add 3a plus 4a is 7a. So we have 7a minus 5a is equal to 15. Next, we subtract 7a minus 5a. That's 7a minus 5a is going to be equal to 2a. So we have 2a is equal to 15. We divide both sides of this equation by 2. We cancel this with that. So we're left with a is equal to 15 divided by 2. And 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So a is equal to 7.5. Next, we have 5 over 4n plus 6 is equal to 41. What we're going to do here, in each case, we're going to multiply each term of this equation by 4. And so what ends up happening is that 4 cancel with this 4. And so we are left with 5n. So 5n, 4 times 6, which is 24, and 4 times 41, which is 164. And so what we do here is we send this 24 over the equal sign. It was positive 24, but when we send it over the equal sign, it becomes negative 24. So we have 5n is equal to 164 minus 24. And when we subtract, we get 140. So we have 5n is equal to 140. Next, we divide both sides of this equation by 5. This cancels, this cancels. So we have that n is equal to 140 minus 5. Again, n is equal to 140 minus 5, which is 28. So n is equal to 28. And so the answer here is 28. Next, we need to solve this particular equation. We have 3, open bracket, x minus 9 is equal to 62. What we're going to do here is we're going to distribute. So 3 times x and 3 times negative 9. 3 times x is definitely 3x, and 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. So we have 3x minus 27 is equal to 62. We take negative 27 and we send it over the equal sign. And so we have 3x is equal to 62. This was negative 27. We send it over, it becomes positive 27. So we have 3x is equal to 62 plus 27. And 62 plus 27 is 89. Next, we divide both sides of this equation by 3. We cancel this one with this one. And so we have that x is equal to 89 divided by 3. And 89 divided by 3 is 29.666666, and the 6's continue. So that's why we put a bar on top of this 6, indicating that it's a recurring decimal. And so we have that x is equal to 29.66666 and continuing. Next, it says that the chart below shows the sales of television sets at a local appliance store over a period of 6 years. So we have this chart. So this one is for 2015. At 2015, we have 140. 2016, we have 80, right? 2017, 2018, we have 60, 2019, and 2020, right? And so they want us to figure out what is the number of, they want us to write down the number of televisions sold in 2017. And so the answer here is definitely going to be 150, because here we have 140. So this right here is 140. And then we go here, this is 150. And then this right here is 160. But here is where 2017 is. And if we go across, that's 150, because it's between 140 and 160. So the answer here is 150. Next, it says write down the year in which the most televisions were sold. And the year in which the most televisions were sold was definitely 2020, right here. That was 160. Next, they want us to write down the years where less than 100. They want us to write down the years where less than 100 televisions were sold. And those years are definitely 2016. Notice that there's only 80. And then 2018, which is 60. And so the answer is 2016 and 2019. It says, find the difference between the number of televisions sold in 2019 and 2016. So how many were sold in 2019? If we go to 2019, we'll see that this is definitely 130, because it's between 120 and 140. So at 2019, there were 130 television sets. And in 2016, yes, 2016, there were 80, right? 80 television sets for 2016. So we have that the difference is going to be 130 minus 80, and 130 minus 80 is definitely 50. And so that means that there were 50 television. That means that the difference between the number of televisions sold in 2019 and 2016 is 50. Okay, here we have a construction question. It says, below is a sketch of triangle PQR. So we have triangle PQR where P and Q, where PQ is equal to 10 centimeters, PR is 6 centimeters, and RQ is 8.5 centimeters. It says using a ruler and compass, compasses, construct triangle PQR on the line below. Do not erase construction lines and or arcs. And so here we're going to construct this, right? And so let's use this particular site to help us. Notice that they tell us that they want PQ to be 10 centimeters. All right, so let's draw this line. So we can start at 0. Okay, start at 0. And we draw it, this line all the way. Continue drawing. Notice I didn't stop at 10 because I'm just drawing a line. I'm not being particular on the length of this line, but I want to ensure that this right here is at 0. And so ensure that this right here is at 0 right here. Okay. Okay, good. So all right, so if we notice carefully that we're gonna take a compass, and when you take your compass, you wanna extend your compass, start at 0, right? all right? And then extend your compass all the way to 10. In this case, mine can't reach to 10, but in your case, if it more than likely it could reach, more than likely your compass will be able to reach to 10. But with this particular site I'm using, it doesn't allow me to go all the way to 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that this is at 0. Let me do this over. Let's make sure this is exactly right. So as accurate as we possibly can. Okay, so when this at the beginning of the line, okay? And so we have this right here. Remember, my compass cannot reach to 10, so I'm going to move over so that it's 10. I'm going to move it over so that it's 10. Now, in your case, you have to actually start at 0 and then draw the arc to 10, right? Because your compass more than likely will be able to reach, but mine, because I'm using this technology, is not able to reach. But I'm still able to draw in the arc. So let me lock this in. And so I'm still able to draw it. So that's good. And so that's 10 centimeters. Because I'm using this technology, you notice that this have a dot or a point, and it doesn't allow me to erase this dot, or at least I don't know how to erase that dot. And so I'm just gonna leave it there, but in your working, please do not include this dot. Remember, you start at this particular point and you draw the arc all the way to 10, all right? But like I said, because I'm using this technology, I have to start here because this compass is too short. Okay, so now that we have 10 centimeters drawn, what we have to do is we have to label, right? So what do we have? We have to label this. So it's gonna be, let's label this. This is P, all right? And this is Q, all right? And what else do we have? Well, PQ is what? PQ is 10 centimeters, right? So 10 centimeters. All right, it should be a bigger P, so let me make that bigger. All right, so we have PQ. All right, and what else they say? So PQ is 10 centimeters, and then I want PR. PR is gonna be 6 centimeters. So we're gonna come here. We're gonna come at the beginning of the line, and then we're going to, the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to mark out on our ruler, we're gonna mark out 6 centimeters. So 6 centimeters, so we start at 0, all right? And then we're gonna go to 6 centimeters. So 6 centimeters should be right about there. All right, so that's 6 centimeters right there. I'm gonna lock it in. And so what else we're gonna do? We're going to take our compass, put it at this point, and then we're going to, I don't want to draw it yet. Okay, good. We just want to draw an arc, right? Draw an arc, all right? And this arc is going to be 6 centimeters from point P. That's all you do, just draw that arc. Remember they said, do not erase your arcs. So we're going to keep our arcs. And then we know that Q to R is 8.5. 8.5, so that means that we're going to go here, take our compass, and we have to extend it for 8.5 centimeters. So we start at 0, and then we go to 8.5. So 8.5 should be right about here. This is 8.5, we lock it in. This is 8.5, right? In between 9 and 8. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to, let me remove this, we're gonna go to R. So let's go to R. And then when we go to R, we're gonna draw an arc. So draw this arc, there we go. And when we draw this arc, notice that these two arcs intersect. So where the arcs intersect, that's going to be our new vertex of this triangle. And so this is going to be this point. Let's extend that here. There we go. And then we're gonna go here and go all the way there. There we go. Oh, there we go. So what we have? Well, we have that this is 6 centimeters, right? So this is 6 centimeters. And this right here is going to be 8.5, 8.5, 8.5 centimeters. And then this right here is going to be what? R, right? So this is R. And so this is how we perform the construction, all right? And so let's go back to the question. What do they want us to do? So we already constructed it. Here I have the construction here. PQR, 6, 10, 8.5. What they want us to do, they say using the triangle constructed in A, measure and write down the size of angle PRQ. Angle PRQ. Notice that the one in the middle, that's what they want us to figure out. What is the size of angle PRQ? So we have to really focus on angle R. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to this diagram. I'm going to take my protractor and we have to measure. We have to measure what is this angle. And so I'm going to turn my protractor like this. And I'm going to put my protractor, I'm going to orient my protractor right there such that the base of the leg of this angle is at 0. So now notice that this is 0, this is 10. Focus on the numbers at the top. This is 0, this is 10, this is 20, this is 30, this is 40, this is 50, this is 60, this is 70, this is 80. And if we zoom in, so this is 80, this is 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85. So again, this right here is 70. This is going to be 75, 80. All right, and this right here is 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. So that means that the angle R is going to be 85 degrees. And so that's what we have here. It's going to be 85 degrees. And that's the answer for this particular question. This one says that the advertisement below shows the weekly special at KS Tektronix. Weekly special, 10-inch tablet, $229.75. Headphones is $49.50. If you purchase both, it says purchase both and receive a 4% discount. So a customer purchases both items to receive the discount. Calculate the amount the customer pays. So the amount is the customer is gonna pay 4%, right? I'm sorry, the customer is gonna get a 4% discount because the customer purchases both items. So let's calculate the total cost of the 10-inch tablet and the headphones. So we have 229.75 plus 49.50. When we add that, we get $279.25. That would be the total cost. But we know that we have to apply the discount. So the discount is going to be 4%. 4% of what? 4% of the total, right? So we have 4% right here, which represented as a fraction. It's going to be 4 over 100. And we multiply that by the total. We ensure that we put the total over 1. So we have the total, which is 279.75. And we multiply that by 4 over 100. Now, what is 4 times 279.25? That's 1,117. And 100 times 1 is 100. So we have 1,117 divided by 100. And that gives us $11.17. So that's the discount. The discount is $11.17. But the amount that the customer pays is going to be $279.25 minus $11.17. And when we subtract the two, we get $268.08. And so that means that the amount that the customer pays is $268.08. Next, for this question, they want us to simplify. So we have 3x raised to the third power minus 5x squared plus x to the third power plus 8x squared. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring together our like terms. So we have 3x to the third power plus x to the third power. These two are like terms. Then we have a negative 5x squared plus 8x squared. These two are like terms. And so we combine our like terms. We say 3x cubed plus x cubed, which is really 1x cubed. It's going to be 4x cubed because 4 plus 1 is 4. I'm sorry, because 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have 3x cubed plus 1x cubed is going to be 4x cubed. But what about negative 5x squared plus 8x squared? Well, -5 plus 8 is going to be equal to 3. So we have 3x squared. These two are not like terms because the powers are different. And so this right here is going to remain as our answer. 4x cubed plus 3x squared. And that's the answer to this question. Here we have 3x over 4 plus 8. I'm sorry, here we have 3x over 4. Again, we have 3x over 4 plus x over 5 plus 1 over 2. And our goal is to simplify this. Notice that the denominators are different. We have 4, we have 5, we have 2. And so our goal is to find the LCM of these two numbers. I'm sorry, of these three numbers. So what are the multiples of 2? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. And the list goes on. The multiples of 4 are going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and the list goes on. And the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and the list goes on. If you want to figure out the lowest common multiple, all we need to do is notice here that we have 20, and the LCM of 2, 4, and 5 is definitely 20. And so what we do here is we say, okay, what times 4 give us 20? And 4 times 5 gives us 20. Whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So we say 3x multiplied by 5. Next, we say what times 5, it gives me 20. But 5 times 4, it gives us 20. Whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So we have x multiplied by 4. And in this case, we ask ourselves what times 2 gives us 20. Well, 2 times 10 gives us 20. Whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. And so what do we have? We have 4 times 5, which is 20. We have 5 times 4, which is 20. And we have 2 times 10, which is 20. Next, we have 3x times 5, which is 15x. X times 4, which is 4x. And 1 times 10, which is 10. Notice that the denominators are the same. So we keep that same denominator, but we have to add the numerators insofar as we possibly can. So we say 15x plus 4x and 15x plus 14, I'm sorry, and 15x plus 4x, again, 15x plus 4x is definitely 19x. So we have 19x plus 10 all over 20, that's 19x plus 10 all over 20. The numerator is in simplest form. We cannot reduce it any further because these two terms are unlike. So 19x and 10 are unlike terms. And so this right here is our answer, 19x plus 10 all over 20. And that's our answer here. Here we have to divide two fractions. We have 9ab divided by 2. And we have to divide this fraction with this fraction. So we have 3a squared times b, all over 7. So we have to divide these two fractions. In order to divide these two fractions, we're going to use this useful acronym, which is KSF. That's KSF. Now, KSF means K stands for keep. So we keep this fraction unchanged. The S stands for switch. So we switch this division sign into multiplication sign. And the F stands for flip, which means that we flip this particular fraction. We put the denominator on the top and we put the numerator at the bottom. And so we do just that. We have 9ab all over 2. We take this fraction remains unchanged. We take the division sign, we turn it into a multiplication sign. And then we have the 7 on top and 3a squared at the bottom. 3a squared b at the bottom. Next, we multiply. 9 times 7 is 63. And we have ab here, so we put ab there. Then we have 2 times 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. And we have a squared b, because we have a squared b here. Next, what we do is we cancel this b with that b. And we cancel this 1a at the top with one of the a's at the bottom. There are two a's at the bottom, but we only cancel one of the a's at the bottom. And so we are left with 63 all over 6a. We still have one more a left because it was actually a squared. And so since we cancel out 1a with 1a, we're still left with 1a here. Because if you look at it, we actually have a all over a squared. And what is a squared? Well, a squared is actually a times a times a. And so we took 1a and canceled with the other a. So we still left with 1a at the bottom. And so that's why we have 63 divided by 6a. So we still have an a at the bottom. Next, we divide top and bottom by 3. So we have 63 divided by 3, and that gives us 21. Again, we have 63 divided by 3, and that's 21. And we say 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 63 divided by 3 is 21, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have 21 all over 2a, and that's our answer here, 21 all over 2a. Next, it says that the diagram below shows the direction of 3 locations from Aaron's home. And so here we have the diagram here. They want us to find the bearing of school from home, So since they say from home, that means that's where we have to start with, at home. So we go home. The first thing we do is we go home and we draw a north. All right, so we have home here. We draw a north. All right. The good thing is that the north was already drawn. But in general, if you're starting at a particular place, you start there and you draw a north. All right. And so when we draw that north, what we're going to do is we're going to go in this direction. And so we start at we start at home, we draw a north, we go in this direction, and we stop at school. And so that means that the bearing of school from home is actually 42 degrees. So the answer is definitely 42 degrees, and that's the answer for this one. Here they want the bearing of church from home. So that means that we're going to start where? We're going to start at home, and then we're going to draw our north. And so let's draw our north. Like I said, the good thing about this particular question, the north is already drawn for us, but you want to get in the habit of drawing your north. And so we're going to rotate in this direction. We go until we reach to church right there. So what they want us to figure out is what is the size of this particular angle right there. What is the size of this angle? Well, what we do know is that angles around a point add up to 360 degrees, and one revolution is 360 degrees. And so that means that 62, 81, plus all this angle in red must add up to 360 degrees. So what does that mean? That means that if we take 81 and 67, take those two numbers, add them together, and take that sum and subtract it from 360. Again, if we take 81 and 67, that's 81 and 67. If we add those two together and then take that sum and subtract it from 360, we should get the red part. And so that's what we're going to do. 67 plus 81, we add them together, that gives us 148. And then we're going to take 360 and subtract it with 148, and that gives us 212. So the answer here right there is 212 degrees. That's the bearing of church from home. Next, we need to figure out what is the bearing of home from school. So that means that we're starting at school. Now, if we're starting at school, what does that mean? That means that we have to start at school, and then we have to draw a north. And so this is our north that we drew right here. And then we're gonna go in this direction all the way until we reach home. So they want this angle right there, this angle in red, right? And so what we have to do is, well, we know that what we do know is that we know that this angle right here, let's say this angle in yellow, this angle right there, plus the angle in red, if we add them up, we should get 360 degrees, because angles around a point is 360 degrees, or one revolution is 360 degrees. So if we call this point right here, let me use a pen. So let's use a pen. If we call this point A, right? That means that all we need to do is figure out what A is. And once we figure out what A is, then we're going to take that answer and subtract it from 360, and that should give us the angle in red. And so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what that is. So let me erase what I have. So we call this A. And how are we going to figure out what A is? Well, notice carefully that we could be able to figure out A just by subtracting 180 and 42. Now, the reason why that's the case is because if we look carefully here, what we actually have going on is this north right here right? This north right here, and this particular north right here, this is a north. We put the N, this north right here. These two norths are parallel to each other, right? So they're parallel to each other. They connect, right? Right here. And if you notice carefully, what shape is being formed here? We actually have a C shape. If you look carefully, a C shape, all right? Let me see if I could, let me see if we could do something else. So we have actually a C shape, all right? Now, when we're looking at the C shape, we're looking at a C shape. If we have a C shape with these parallel, with these two parallel lines along with this transversal, if we have the C shape, which we do have, something similar to a C shape, this indicates that we actually are dealing with co-interior angles, all right? And so this, it's not exactly, it doesn't exactly look like a C, but once we have a parallel line, a transversal, another parallel line, the two angles are in between are co-interior angles. And the shape that gives it away is something sort of resembling a C shape. In this case, it doesn't look exactly like a C shape, but it's very similar. And so what we have here is, and that's what helps us like to understand, to like and that's what gives us a hint, all right, that we're dealing with co-interior angles if we have something resembling a C shape with two parallel lines and a transversal. Okay, so that means that these two, since they're co-interior, 48 and this angle A, 42 rather, and this angle A, since they are co-interior angles, that means that they must add up to 180 degrees because co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So that means that if we subtract 180 and 42, we should get 138, and 138 is going to be what A is, right? Because 138 and 42, these should add up to 180 degrees, and that's exactly why these two are co-interior angles, because they add up to 180 degrees. And so, and plus, we have the parallel lines and the transversal in this particular orientation. Okay, so now that we know that A is 138, all we need to do is we need to take 138 and subtract it with 360, and that should give us this angle that's in red. And so we have 360 minus 138, and 360 minus 138 gives us 222. And so that means that our bearing from home, that means that our bearing of home from school is going to be 222 degrees. Next, we want to write down the y-intercept of this line. Now the y-intercept I have here highlighted, that's going to be the point where the graph, or the point where this line cuts the y-axis. Again, the y-intercept is going to be the point where this line crosses the y-axis. And this is the point in red that I have highlighted. And what is that point? So again, the y-intercept is the point where the line intersects with the y-axis. Now, what is this point? Well, this point is definitely 0, 7. And so that is the y-intercept of this line, 0, 7. Next, they want us to figure what is the gradient of this line. Now, gradient just means slope. And so we could use a slope formula to figure out what is the gradient of this line. But in order to use a slope formula, we're gonna get 2 points that are on the line, 0, 7 and 1, 5, right? You could use any 2 points on the line but once the 2 points are actually on the line, all right? And so these are 2 easy to identify points, 0, 7 and 1, 5, and we're gonna use that in our slope. We're gonna use that to figure what is the slope of this line. So we have 0, 7 and 1, 5. We call this one x1, we call this one y1, we call this one x2, we call this one y2. And the slope formula is gonna be equal to, or gradient, slope or gradient, is gonna be equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, where y2 is 5, y1 is 7, x2 is 1, and x2 is 1, and x1 is 0. And so we have 5 minus 7, and 5 minus 7 is -2. We have 1 minus 0, and 1 minus 0 is 1. And so the gradient is going to be -2 divided by 1, and -2 divided by 1 is definitely -2. So the gradient here is -2. So the gradient here is going to be -2. That's the answer here, -2. Next, they want us to draw the line y is equal to 5. Now the line y is equal to 5 is just a horizontal line that crosses the y-axis at 5. And so that's how we draw the line y is equal to 5. Now they want us to write down the coordinates where the lines intersect. And the lines intersect right here. That's the point 1, 5. And so that's what we have right here. That's the point 1, 5. And so that's where the lines intersect at 1, 5. Next, we need to answer this question, which says that a car is listed at a cash price of $18,000. A hire purchase plan includes a 20% down payment on the cash price, monthly payments of $675 for 2 years. Calculate the total hire purchase cost of the car. And so if we want to figure out what is hire purchase of the car, what we're going to do is we're going to figure, okay, what is the down payment? Well, the down payment, like they tell us, is 20%. So it's going to be 20% of the cash price, and the cash price is $18,000. So of means multiply, and 20% represented as a fraction is 20 over 100. And 18,000, we can represent that as a fraction as well, simply by putting it over 1. Next, we multiply. We say 20 times 18,000, and that gives us 360,000 over 100, because 100 times 1 is 100. Next, we divide. We say 360,000 divided by 100. That gives us 3,600. So the down payment is definitely 3,600. Next, what we need to do is we need to figure out what is going to be the monthly payments, right? Now, his monthly payments is going to be $675, but for 2 years, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, okay, how many months there are in 2 years? There are 12 months in the year. So if we want to figure out how many months there are in 2 years, we have to do 2 times 12, and 2 times 12 is definitely 24. And so there are actually 24 months in 2 years. And so what we actually have is the total amount of the monthly payment is going to be $675 multiplied by 24. So we have 24 multiplied by 675, and 24 multiplied by 675 is going to be 16,200. Next, we're going to figure out the total hire purchase. The total hire purchase is going to be the down payment plus the total amount of the monthly payments. What is the down payment? The down payment is 3,600. What is the total amount of monthly payments? That's going to be 16,200, which we just figured out. And so when we add these two, we get 19,800. And so that's the total hire purchase. That's the total hire purchase cost of the car, 19,800. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.